Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The New Beginnings expert panel that you see here tonight, we're going to be going through navigating year-end and the holidays and some tips for you as you're either going through your divorce or just post-divorce. So tonight we have Barb Shigog. She's a CDFA. Barb is also a CPA, and so she'll be sharing some of her pre-divorce tips. And we have Kate Morneau. She's a family law attorney and a divorce mediator, and she has some parenting tips that she'd like to share tonight. Laura Gamache, she's a real estate agent in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So she'll talk about housing and the holidays. And then we have Renee Coleman, who's our mortgage broker, and she'll share her tips as well. So we're going to just go down the line and we'll each, have a few minutes to share our thoughts. And then please feel free to put your questions in the chat box. This is, intended to be an educational and supportive event. So please use this as a resource for anything that you might be going through. So we're going to start with Barb Shigog.
Great. Thanks, Robin. It's really great to be here, as this is a really difficult time of year and you're going through a difficult process. So what we want to do is try to give you some suggestions on how to just make it a little bit easier for you. So as Robin said, I'm a CDFA and a CPA. So I bring to the table financial expertise as it relates to financial settlements and the best recourses and from a financial standpoint while you're going through a divorce. So I work mostly with women thinking about going through a divorce or during a divorce. So I have some comments for the pre-divorce women. So if you're thinking about getting divorced, or maybe you're at the beginning of the process, really some of the what my biggest recommendation for you is really getting your ducks in a row. So from a financial standpoint, start accumulating financial statements and make sure your passwords are updated, how to log into your bank account and brokerage accounts. So the CPA in me loves this time because it's tax time, and taxes are a treasure trove of information. So year-end statements have a lot of information too. So if you can grab a copy or a picture of a year-end statement that may come to the house, that can be really valuable information to have. As well as, starting early January, you'll start to have tax documents come in. And these might be for accounts that your name isn't on, but comes to your address. So all of these documents, it's really important to start taking pictures of those. Something else pre-divorce, and especially this time of year, meet with your financial advisor or a CDFA and start to understand what a settlement would look like. Now is kind of a quieter time for financial planners, so it might be a good time to meet with them. You don't have to tell them why. You can just really try to get educated. And then if you're going through a divorce, some things to keep in mind, especially if you're at the beginning, is spending. And what you want to do is really try to be sensitive to your spending. You probably are shifting towards moving into two different households. You'll have attorney bills or more, bills related to the process. So just be sensitive. I know that this is a difficult time, especially if you have kids, that maybe you'll want to compensate for that. Just be careful not to use financial products and extra presents this time of year, because it's unfortunately the time that you'll want to be cutting back a little bit. The other thing to be really mindful, if you haven't finalized your divorce yet, credit cards, both your names are on them, bank accounts. Really work with your partner and decide if there's a budget. What you want to be sensitive to is you don't want to be caught with any unexpected debts that have occurred during the holiday season that now you might both have to be responsible for. So I hope those tips help you have a wonderful holiday season. I'm going to hand it over now to Robin, who will talk a little bit more about the during and the post.
Thank you, Barb. Those were great. So I guess when clients come into my office who have recently divorced, what I experience is a lot of fear and a lot of worry, which is completely normal, given the experience of divorces is generally not a pleasant one. And if you compound that with the fact that the financial services industry is in general very focused on moving forward, fast-paced, task-oriented, and technical, right? A lot of investments and taxes, and you kind of just went through all that, and you're kind of ramped up, and may have some pressures on the outside to make decisions. So I guess my tip number one, as you enter year end and the holiday season, is to slow down your decision making. If you think about how that feels in your body, right? One of my goals is to help clients regain their well-being, regain their confidence, and empower them to make good decisions that they're, are proud of over the long term, that really support their family and their values. And it's hard to do that when you're in that ramped up emotional state. And so slowing down decision making really can help you go around the rotary, help you expand your thinking. So house, generally, if you were awarded the house in the settlement, one of the most common questions is whether you should keep the house or sell the house. And there may be a lot of pressure for one or the other, and it may feel like your only option at that time. But if you're able to slow down and figure out, who do you want to be in this next chapter? How do you want to be with your family? What's important to you? Then, if you just in your body, if you start asking yourself those questions, you can just sort of feel your body ramping down a little bit. So I would highly recommend giving yourself the gift of time. And work with someone who can guide you in those conversations to help you stay connected to who you want to be, who you are in the moment, where you want to be headed. So that is more of a life planning, behavioral finance component of the financial services industry that there's not a lot of expertise in kind of holding that space for clients. So be your own advocate there. So the second one is, now that you've taken a breath, there's still stuff to do, right? So although, doing only the technical, I don't think makes sense, but not doing the technical also doesn't make sense. You have to do, you have to deal with taxes, you have to deal with accounts and investments, all of those things, but it doesn't all have to be done at once. So I like the mantra that I use with my clients and how I help them is now, sooner, or later, and really prioritizing what needs to get done now. So some of the things that I would recommend that you focus on are things like the quadro. So it's kind of getting legally divorced. It's moving those assets that were awarded to you and getting them into your name. And the quadro is a retirement account like a 401k or a pension account that you need to have carved out, either the whole thing or a portion of it brought into your name, into an IRA account. And that has to be worked through the company that your ex-spouse worked for. And that has a lot of complications. You generally need an attorney like Kate or a special quadro specialist to make sure all of the things that the company needs are included in the legal document so that transfer happens smoothly. And it can be difficult if, God forbid, something were to happen to your ex-spouse and you hadn't started that process. It can be difficult to get those assets out of the company post-death. So I would definitely say getting the quadro, getting the assets in your name, changing an IRA that might have been in your ex-spouse's name into your name, starting those processes so that you can have control over your money. Because having control over your money is going to give you some stability. It's going to give you resources that you might need to pay an attorney bill, that you might need to help fund the holiday season or just to fund your monthly paychecks. So gain access to what you are entitled to. And if that's not something that you're able to do or want to do on your own, get help. There is plenty of help out there. Firms like mine, firms like Barb, that can kind of help you move forward with all of those to-dos. So then the third tip that I have is really around reassessing your new financial reality. And so Barb talked about, kind of getting all of your, documents in order. But this is really about, now that everything, what you're getting, how much income do you have? Really, what is coming from alimony, from child support, from Social Security? Maybe you're working, maybe there's a note payment of some sort for a business or other asset that's getting paid out to you. So having a good sense of where your income's coming from and if it covers your expenses on a month-to-month basis. So just that sort of basic kind of inventory of all of those things so that you can really understand your new financial reality and start to think about your future. You don't really know if you can save money, if you don't know if your income sources cover that. So that is the first place I'd start with income and expenses. And then you can make also decisions year end. There, Barb mentioned taxes. Well, when you're divorced, your tax filing status changes. And so that may mean different things for tax due, your tax withholdings. So you need to work with a financial advisor or a CPA. We do tax projections for our clients so they know where they're at. They know if there's any capital loss carry forwards from your investment accounts that you could take to reduce your taxes. If you need to increase your withholding, if you need to realign your investments at all to reduce the risk. So once you've taken control of your accounts, working with someone to evaluate how much risk is there. Are there any concentrated stock positions or things that you wouldn't want to own because they're too risky? So kind of evaluating all of those items to make sure that they still fit for where you're headed. And then the last thing I guess I'll mention in the reassessing is, as Barb mentioned, you may not have a good sense of your cash flow. You're kind of working on it, but giving can be a big thing in these last few months of the year, whether it's charity or to family. And I think, giving with purpose and understanding that giving can be, you can create new traditions. It doesn't have to be financial. So if you're unsure about where you are, kind of back to my first tip, kind of slow down, maybe giving what would happen in the past doesn't need to happen in the future until you have a better sense of where you are financially. So taking that time to even know if you want to continue gifting, if that's been something that you've been doing to family members or children or to charity. So taking that pause, and if you do gift, work with an advisor or your CPA to gift strategically. There are lots of things that you can do financially with, appreciated stock to gift strategically. But, I don't want to overwhelm you here today, but definitely reach out for help if you're in that position and give yourself that gift of time and space and let, others know that you're figuring it out and you're not ready to make these big decisions yet. All right, then I am going to pass you on to Laura Gamache.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. So I am a residential real estate agent, and just to kind of keep going with our topic this evening of kind of the year end. So if you are pre or during divorce, a lot of the conversations at this point may be if you are keeping the home or need to sell the home. So if you've missed our last month's topic, which kind of really kind of focused in on that. So if you did, feel free to go back and rewatch that recording. That kind of really narrowed it in a little bit more on that. So a lot of the time at this point, I'm really meeting with a lot of clients if we are thinking of beginning of the year and needing to sell the property. So we are doing the kind of preliminary steps at this point of just preparing your home for the market. So do we need to have anything done to the property? Any contractors? There's a lot of time I'm coordinating with my clients of getting anything done on the interior, which at this time of the year, some contractors can be a little slower. So we're able to get them out a little bit faster to get some work done. So kind of very good time of year to kind of really focus in on some interior work that we need to do and focus on while the weather's still pretty decent outside on the exterior side. So just kind of really preparing the home for the market if we're thinking of next year we'll be needing to have that property go on the market. I always kind of say our spring market really actually starts January 1st, contrary to a lot of what people think, because a lot of buyers, if they're thinking of buying that year, they're starting perusing online immediately the start of the year. So pretty contrary to what people think of like, oh, March, April, where our spring market can really start as early as January 1st. So again, depending what the timeline and what the situation looks like for you in your particular situation. And there's a lot of conversations that we're having now of just doing what we kind of getting that checklist of let's get X, Y, and Z done before we need to get the house on the market. So those are a lot of what we're kind of working on the year end, thinking of if next year is going to be the year that we're actually going to be getting that house listed on the market. Again, kind of going through anything of the particulars of a divorce agreement, making sure if we know the specifics of it and making sure that everything's kind of all hashed out. If we are selling the house, making sure you actually know exactly what percentage you're getting, right? So so that's where you kind of again would be working closely with Kate, the attorney, of making sure that that's all kind of been situated. If that is going to be the case that we are going to be selling the property, making sure that you're entitled to what you deserve for the proceeds of the property. So that's another piece that we're definitely making sure working very closely with the attorney on to making sure that that's very clearly written in the divorce agreement. If you are kind of post, so to say, on the divorce and whatnot, and if you've sold the property this year, a lot of times it's making sure that you just stay organized with all your paper trail. So as kind of Robin spoke a lot too on the tax purposes, right? So really just changes a lot of that. So in making sure you have all of your documents that you need, that your tax accountant's going to turn around and ask you for to show proof of your sale that year that you're going to need. So we every year we're always sending all of our tax documents, those closing documents, excuse me, to all of our past clients of the past year, knowing that they'll need that for taxes that year, that they could just really have it in hand and or their email and just forward over to their tax accountant. So again, if you've done that, if you've already sold a property and you're kind of more like the kind of post-divorce or whatnot. So definitely something that just to really kind of get all of your documents kind of start lined up that you think that your tax accountant might need to kind of get that lined up for come in the beginning of the year. So other than that, so we have a lot of things that are kind of moving at the end of the year on the real estate side. Otherwise, we're kind of just gearing up and kind of helping planning our clients for the next year and whatever those next steps look like. But if anything, just making sure that a lot of people that their home's their biggest asset. So if you, depending on what stage you are in your divorce, making sure you really just kind of know what your home's value is worth, which can be very easily tasked by just reaching out and having that done. So you just can really plan in yourself accordingly, making sure that you're well protected. So thank you. And I'm going to next pass you along to Renee, who's going to kind of speak a little bit more on the mortgage side.
Thanks, Laura. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have you here with us tonight. So I am a mortgage lender. I am also a CDLP, which is a certified divorce lending professional. So I do work in the divorce world daily. So end of year presents an opportunity, whether you're just beginning the divorce process or, in the middle or at the end. As all the other panelists have talked about, year end also means tax season, right? And so everybody's been talking about, all the documents that you may need to gather and be thinking about. And that really presents a great opportunity to talk to a lender. So if there's a family home involved in your divorce at all, and perhaps you are the spouse that maybe wants to keep the home, year end is a great time to, since you're gathering all of your tax documents, for filing your taxes anyways, you're going to need a lot of that information to complete a mortgage application as well. And so when I talk to my clients at year end, you have all of the access to all of that, right? Your W-2s and your interest mortgage statements, from your lender, and your tax returns when they do get filed. And it presents an opportunity to also have that conversation with your spouse as far as preparing those taxes, and who all is getting the deductions, and how is it being managed, and to think about those items as part of your divorce settlement as well. So even though, it's the holidays, in addition to being year end, we have a lot on our plates, right? We're managing the holidays themselves. We're managing year end, the kids, the family. And one thing that we can sometimes forget about is paying the bills. Right. So you forget, something lapses, and you've forgotten that a payment was due. Just try to be a little mindful, because those are the things that, if you forget, that one payment could really damage your credit. And we see it happen a lot at the holidays, right? Or maybe there's some overspending, right, for the kids over the holidays. We all see that too. So just be a little more mindful of what bills are due and when they're due, and who's responsible for paying them. As you're progressing through the divorce process, things sometimes get left by the wayside. So January is a busy month for people to file for divorce, right? Because we want to get through the holidays, get the kids squared away, then we can jump into that. So again, another opportunity. All of that information will be necessary when you're speaking with an attorney. The financials are a big piece of that. So year end is popular for that. So as for applying for a mortgage, we do see, as Laura mentioned, spring market really does begin in January. So, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, refinancing a home, keeping the existing home, January is a great opportunity to get that mortgage application in. So that's really all I wanted to mention tonight. I do want to give you a website. I have written a book, and it's available. It's an electronic book, and it focuses on divorce and the mortgage. The website is Divorce Your Mortgages, plural, divorceyourmortgages.com. It's free. You can download it from there. And I welcome you all to log on and access that document. It has some really good information in there, what it takes to qualify for a mortgage, and, as it pertains to the divorce. So thanks for coming tonight. I am going to turn it over to Kate, our attorney.
Thanks, Renee. Again, thank you guys for coming tonight. I know this is a stressful time of year. I do divorce. Obviously, I'm a divorce attorney, and I see everyone stressed out right now. There's a million things on their mind, and it can be really a lot to handle. So I'm going to give you guys 5 tips for co-parenting for the end of the year and the holidays. which will hopefully make your life a little bit easier, your kids' life easier as you're navigating, maybe for the first time, what does the holidays look like for your family in a divorce situation or in a separation. So I'll give you those tips, but honestly, any question you guys have, we're happy to chat about it. Please just put them in the Q&A or the chat feature. We're happy to talk about what you want to talk about here. So, all right, so I'll hit my 5 tips. Tip number 1 is having really good communication with your co-parent, which can be difficult. Again, it's stressful. There's a reason you're separating. There are really wonderful parenting apps, which I advise all my clients to look at. There's 2 of them. There's Our Family Wizard, OUR Family Wizard, and this is a paid app. But if you can't afford it, you can ask for a discount. They have discounts for veterans. What would happen is both parents would get an account. You log in there. It's got a calendar for your kids that you both can put things on. So you can't ever say, well, you knew there was a doctor's appointment coming up. It was in the calendar. There's a place to share receipts for different things. So let's say you paid the copay and the other parents got to reimburse you for half of that. There's a place to do that right in the app. And there's a chat feature too. So you can do all of your communication through this app. It's date stamped, it's timed. You know when the person looked at it, the other parent looked at it. So it's a really fantastic resource. If you haven't looked at it, check that out. There's also an app Close, CLOSE. That is a free option. And there's pluses and minuses for both of them. I personally love Our Family Wizard. It has a feature where your lawyer can log in and look at the communication back and forth and basically help you figure out how to respond sometimes and whatnot. So it's a really good way to communicate with each other in a calm way. There's a tone meter in Our Family Wizard. So if you are somebody who quickly shoots back a text that you maybe regret later on, Our Family Wizard will put a little alert and say, oh, this seems a little aggressive. Do you really want to send this? And you might still want to, but it at least gets you to double check what you're sending. The good news about that too is if the other parent is someone who does that, they would have to, again, kind of override the tone meter. So that's a good feature. I think it's helped a lot of my clients out just to have that good communication, especially during the holidays. Another part of that good communication is confirming the plans. You might have it set in your mind, this is it, but to actually ask and say, listen, I've got, Thanksgiving, we're going to exchange at 10 a.m., right? We're on the same page, we're going to meet here. Doing that, it could save you a ton of headache and trouble if you guys might not be on that same page. So good communication. Tip 2 is to be flexible. So I'll tell you from personal experience and from what I've seen from a lot of my clients, kids are super happy to celebrate multiple holidays. Having multiple Christmases, kids love that. They can have Santa come to multiple houses on multiple days. And again, the magic is still there for them. Might not be the same for you if you don't have the kids on, let's say, Christmas morning, but it's to the kids, they're excited. You can make it like it's the holiday. Thanksgiving doesn't have to fall on a Thursday. If you've got the kids, let's say the weekend before, have a Thanksgiving. It's just about being flexible and making sure that the kids don't feel the stress that you might be feeling. The next one on that same kind of note, next tip is to think like a kid. So what can you be doing during the holidays to make things easier on them? Again, exchange times. If you've kind of got an agreement that the kids are going to be exchanged at 8 a.m. on Christmas morning, that kids aren't going to love that, right? Even though they're up super early, depending on their age, they want to maybe sleep in or they want to play with their toys. And so being really mindful about what time to do the exchanges for the age kids that you guys have would be really something important to do. Another thing, which this is kind of a mixed emotions I get with this one, but thinking like a kid, maybe you want to have your kids pick something out for the other parent for a gift. Nothing feels worse than when you're the kid and you show up and you've got nothing maybe for the other parent when normally, let's say you did that every year. So that's hard when the other parent is not particularly wonderful back, and they would maybe never do that for you. But thinking like a kid, what would that feel like to them to pick out? It doesn't have to be a big deal. Maybe it's you make a card, whatever it is, putting that maybe animosity aside and putting what they might like first. I think another big thing too is encouraging the kids to have fun with the other parent. Again, as much as that might really get to you and not be something you want to do, letting them know it's okay. It's okay to have fun over at dad's house. It's okay to have fun at mom's house, whatever it is. Letting them have that kind of permission from you to have a great time and be excited for them to go have a good time, even if you have to fake it a little bit during the holidays. Tip number 4 is to make plans for yourself. So I've seen where kids get really stressed out that, we're leaving mom, it's Christmas Eve and mom's going to be all by herself. This is really awful. And they feel so guilty leaving. And it's really a struggle. So thinking about that, make some plans for yourself. If it's you are going to be home reading a good book, wrapping presents, whatever, let them know like you are really in a good spot, like you're really looking forward to your time alone. Or if you're going to a friend's holiday party, or you're going to be with, your family for Thanksgiving, letting them know you're good. They don't have to worry. Again, they can go have fun with the other parent. It takes that kind of pressure off of them, which it might not even be something that you're thinking about, but kids really kind of internalize that type of situation. And then the tip number 5 is to create new traditions. So this is a really great opportunity for you to think about what were some traditions that you did that you really loved, or what were some that you didn't love and that you're like, I'm never doing that again. If you've always wanted to, bake pies with your kids for Thanksgiving, this is the time. Like you could do it. Having these new traditions, the kids get excited about it. It's something new. And again, you're now in charge. So you have the opportunity to say what we're doing this year. If you've always wanted a real treat and your ex was like, nope, we're having this fake one, go get the biggest real treat you can get, make it so you are doing something unique with the kids. So those are kind of the 5 tips that I've got for co-parenting during the holidays. There's so many more. And it's hard and it's okay. I mean, give yourself some grace during this time because it is not easy. This is when I see most people as stressed out as possible. We get calls again, like the day before Thanksgiving about exchange times and issues, and we get it. So, any questions that you guys have, again, we're happy to answer those. Happy to have all of the other panelists come back on the screen. Again, I'm a divorce attorney. I'm a divorce mediator, a collaborative attorney. I'm based in Nashua, and I'd be happy to chat with any of you. So, all right. I'm not seeing any questions right off the bat. Did you ladies have anything that popped up while we were chatting that you wanted to address?
Yeah, I had one thing that I thought of. Actually, people don't get as many documents via the mail anymore. So I wanted to point out that several actually tax documents now come through the website. So it's really important that you have access to all of your financial records and make sure you can log in and that passwords haven't been changed. So because more and more brokerages and banks aren't sending statements through the mail anymore. So it's an extra step. It's not as easy to just beat your partner to the mailbox. Now you have to beat him to the files out in the brokerage documentation.
Yeah, and one of the tax documents that you'll receive for your mortgage, your mortgage interest statement, 1099, you'll see that on your mortgage website too. You can access those. They'll mail a hard copy, but you can also access it online.
And if you're joint or your name is on an account, you have every right to call and gain access. So a lot of the companies will allow you just to go on and put your information in and it'll automatically create a login. Others you have to call and request a link. So just, you know, advocating for yourself again, or finding someone to help you advocate. I think we highly recommend, because going into the divorce, you know, knowing where you are financially makes a big difference, confidence wise.
I think our chat might be disabled, so you guys might not be able to send us any questions. We're sorry about that. But one thing that I did want to mention is January, there's a huge change in child support laws coming into effect in New Hampshire. So that's something that none of us attorneys really have a handle on, because we haven't seen it in action. I think the judges are in the same boat. They're thinking, all right, we have this new law. How's this going to all shake out? But for the first time, it's taking into account your parenting schedule. And, you know, depending on if you make similar incomes, it takes into account that. So there's a huge, it's complicated. So if that's something that you're curious about, you know, again, we'd be happy to talk with you and just run some numbers, because there's really not a ton of resources out there, and it goes into effect January 1st. So it's coming up soon. Things like that, you know, if there's anything on your mind, you just want to run through some options, you could really call any of us. We'd be more than happy to kind of get your fears put aside. And you don't need to tell your spouse you've come and seen us either. That's another good thing. You can come and it's all private. None of us will reveal that you've seen us. So that's usually good too.
Yes, Kate, that's a good point, because I meet with, and Robin, I'm sure you do also, I meet with women under a financial planning contract. If women just want to have a better understanding of their situation, but want it to seem a little bit less threatening than you're meeting with a divorce planner, you can always meet with your financial planner too.
And the same applies for your mortgage. I can look at your numbers. We don't need your spouse's permission. We don't need his approval. He doesn't even need to know. He or she, I should say. You can apply for a mortgage and nobody else is going to know. You can talk to me. I talk with a lot of women that, you know, their spouses have told them, oh, you'll never be able to qualify. You can't keep the house. I want to reiterate, do not listen to your spouse. Talk to a lender. We're going to give you the full story. We're going to educate you so that you understand the process and you know what's involved, you know, ahead of time. You don't have to take their word for it. Talk to a lender that works in the business and can give you the true information.
And just a side note from that, don't always assume that your house is accurate what Zillow has it as. So I hear that a lot, that my spouse thinks that the Zillow estimate is this, and then they try to run with that through the entire process. And then when they actually pull in an actual professional, we tell them a number, whether it's better or worse, sometimes they're kicking themselves. So again, always pull in the professionals earlier than you think. And you have a lot of people here that we are free, and we are just here to help and be supportive. So we are just seeking to be your resource and helpful guide. We're looking to grow this community as well. So if you know other people that you think should be beneficial, please spread the word. But that's our goal, is just that you're not alone. You never will be alone. And please lean on us for that.
So our next webinar is going to be in January. It's going to be on the 23rd, same time. The topic is Divorce Boot Camp. So Divorce 101, start to finish. So again, any questions you guys have, we're going to run through it, how the divorce starts and how it wraps up and what goes on in between all of that. So should be a pretty info-packed session. But we're also really excited to hear what topics you'd like to see in 2025. We're constantly coming up with ideas that we've heard from our clients, but we want this to be a resource for you. Like Laura said, this is a support for you. And any topic, pretty much anything. We'll bring in experts. We've got some really cool things planned for next year, but we can make adjustments. So thank you for coming tonight and for taking that time to be with us. Hope this was helpful. Hope you have a really good end of the year. There's some positive pieces in there and some reflection on what next year is going to look like. Hopefully a really positive change for you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Happy holidays.